So this is Kingdom Valley, better known as the intro part of this level was included as the demo for the PC port of Sonic 2006. And the intro part is alright. The boost pads are difficult to mess with because they often don't point you in the direction you want to pick up the rings, and making slight adjustments with Sonic is incredibly difficult. But everything related to homing attacks in the opening segment is quite enjoyable, including the air rails. In fact, my favorite homing attack of the level is right here. I find this one to be incredibly enjoyable, and Sonic even homes in on the Rainbow Ring, in case anyone was concerned about that. There's nothing too terribly interesting to say about the rope mechanics. You simply wait until there's an appropriate amount of tension and then press X. And here's a homing attack chain that's a little more difficult to get down because of the camera angle, but it can still be done consistently once you get used to it. There's an upcoming section that's heavy on the light ring dash, but for this level the light ring dashes mostly seem to work, with one big exception toward the end of the level that can majorly ruin your run. This light ring dash works fine, surprisingly, even though it's probably the most complicated in the game. And right here's an easy rainbow ring, kinda hard to miss that one. Overall, this intro section is pretty enjoyable. It's easy to goof up, but I wouldn't say that's because of the glitches. I would more say that's just because it's inherently easy to mess up. And now comes the part of the level where we hand things off to Silver. I'm not a big fan of Silver's gameplay because I don't find the physics system in Sonic 2006 to be incredibly accurate. There are tricks to making the physics system work in your favor, but it's clear that Silver's gameplay, while the basic level design was finished, the physics were not polished as well as they should have been. And after you upgrade Silver a significant amount, all of his levels become a joke because the upgrades he gets allow him to easily run over every challenge you may encounter. But at that point, you're not even using the physics anymore, you're just spamming square to throw things. And it's a shame because if Silver's gameplay were more polished, it would have the potential to be my favorite part of the game. Silver's abilities are actually rather fun, but I don't feel the game was designed around them. So if someone would like to give telekinesis a try in video games in this sort of 3D platforming setting again, I wouldn't be opposed to that, but it doesn't work very well here. Admittedly, there is some enjoyment to be had in thoroughly upgrading all of Silver's abilities and then using his ridiculously overpowered psychic abilities to destroy everything. But as I said, at that point you're not even using the physics any longer. Silver is also by far my favorite character in the story because he's just a better version of Trunks from Dragon Ball Z. His voice acting is something else, though. There's one significant skip we can do here at the end of Silver's segment, where we can trigger the event flag to make Sonic's turn start. We just skipped a really annoying combat segment, that's basically all we did. And now here comes the part of the level that I really don't like. This middle section of the level, after Silver's segment and before the Mach Speed section, is really dull. There's an overdependence on combat, the basic platforming isn't any fun, the shortcuts are not memorable in the slightest, and there are no enjoyable homing chains. The combat sections were done better in Radical Train, the basic platforming is too basic, and the shortcuts and homing chains are so obvious that you don't feel any sense of accomplishment when you pull them off. There's just not a lot to enjoy here, unfortunately. These big domes with so many enemies to fight is just really not enjoyable. Radical Train was a great example of how to do Sonic combat properly. Perhaps these combat sections would be better suited for Shadow, but Shadow has his own version of Kingdom Valley, which is very dull and not worth playing. It's these big robots again, which have incredibly wonky hit detection and arm physics and have no business being in Sonic stages to begin with because they are clearly meant for Shadow and Silver to fight, and they don't mesh well with Sonic's mechanics in the slightest. So coming up is that one light ring dash that can really screw over your run, right up here. It has a very difficult time triggering consistently. The advice I can give you is to stay on the rope, because if you stay on the rope when you fall down, you won't fall to your death, you will instead just fall back to the floor or the rope. And here's a section that's so incredibly boring that I barely remember it. Like I said, the homing attack chains are laid out for you so in your face that there's no accomplishment to be felt from getting them. I guess this looks pretty. This is probably the prettiest looking level in the game, and the atmosphere and music is not bad. Look, another dome with enemies to fight. I know we've only seen 3 of these, but perhaps 1 would have been plenty. The middle section of this level is really, really hard for me to enjoy, and I really liked Sonic 2006, so that is saying something quite profound, I think. Flame Core, Kingdom Valley, and Aquatic Base all have their problems, but at least Flame Core had interesting bits of level design, scattered throughout the entire level instead of all bunched up at the beginning, as it is in Kingdom Valley. So even though Flame Core is one of the big 3 long levels, it feels the least long of the long levels. I'm not sure whether Kingdom Valley or Aquatic Base feels longer, but I certainly dislike Kingdom Valley more. It's sad to say that the only way I could envision saving Kingdom Valley is to cut out everything but the opening segment that was used in the demo for the PC port, which is never being finished because the lead programmer left. This is dragging on for so long, and I have so little to say about the level design because it won't let me use my skills or feel proud of myself for anything. Unlike every other level in the game, I can't feel proud of myself for skipping anything or using shortcuts. It's just so... Here, follow the rail. It's an on-rails platformer. Do you get it? Because we're literally on a rail, even though normally the rails have plenty of shortcuts, this one doesn't. Oh, thank God, we're almost to the Mach Speed segment. There's this one really irritating battle, again, with enemies that clearly weren't suited for Sonic. And then we make it to the Mach Speed section, which, to be fair, is one of the easier Mach Speed sections in the game. But after this incredibly boring middle section, it comes as more of a slap in the face than relief. It's easily the prettiest part of the game for what that's worth. And there's actually nothing really broken about it.